welcome to ET Now Startup Central, the first and only daily show dedicated to startups and entrepreneurship. I'm Chandra Shrikant, joining you live from India Startup Hub, Bangalore, and we have a power-packed show lined up for you over the next 20 minutes.
And I'm Kumar, coming to you live from ET Now's Mumbai studios. First up, a look at all that's making headlines in the world of startups. The e-commerce sales season kicks off as Amazon is back with its 3-day Great Indian Sale. Even as rivals Flipkart and Snapdeal join in a chat with the Amazon management coming up. Indian real estate search portal Housing.com secures a fresh round of funding from SoftBank, its largest investor. Dropping out to start up may be a badge of honor in the US, but not in India, where pedigree clearly matters before investors commit top dollar. And there's proof with hard data. 2 days after an all-out war of words between telecom regulator TRAI and Facebook on its zero ratings platform Free Basics, the regulator today holds an open house discussion on differential pricing for data services. We get you the key takeaways. And we have a special segment on the show that we are calling The 3 Mistakes of My Life, and we kick it off with TaxiForSure's co-founder who talks about his mistakes that others can learn from. That's right, the big e-commerce sales season has kicked off with all the big players, Amazon, Flipkart and Snapdeal kicking off their sales season. Amazon has kicked off its Great Indian Sale, and we have Chandra bringing us more on that. Chandra, over to you.
That's right, Krishna. A new year and a new war has really started between the e-commerce biggies, be it Amazon, Flipkart, Snapdeal. All of them have launched sales gearing up for Republic Day. But will this again lead to another phase of deep discounting and cash burn just when people are talking about unit economics? To really get more insights on this, we're joined by one of the 3 most important men driving Amazon India. It's Director for Category Management, Kumar. Mr. Kumar, thank you so much for talking to ET Now Startup Central. First up, tell us about the first day of the Great Indian Sale. How has it fared so far?
We are doing extremely well. So far, the day has been a record-breaking day for us. We are setting new benchmark. It's been bigger than our last Diwali, so we are having a great day so far.
But Mr. Kumar, along with you, we also have Flipkart and Snapdeal launching their own Republic Day sales. So, is it going to be another phase of deep discounting? Is price going to be the key differentiator once again like last year? Because people expected that to change this time around and the focus to really shift to unit economics. What is your own sense? What is going to set you apart?
I think what will set us apart is our focus on customers and working backward from the customers and delivering them our largest selection, a great value, as well as delivering the products as quickly as possible to the customers. And we are doing quite well on that so far. In terms of selection, we have the largest selection. Every time you look, we have so many deals running. And if you look at the quality of those deals, they are pretty good. So we believe that our customers are liking it, and that's why we are seeing such a great performance so far today.
All right, Samir, I wanted to ask you, in terms of categories, where are you seeing, the most activity? Any new patterns that you've seen emerging?
So if you look at it, mobile and fashion continue to do well. But if you see, we are going to have record-setting day for video games and music. They are going to have the biggest day ever on our platform in India. So those are doing well. If you look at large appliances and television together, we're going to have 8 times the volume that we do on a normal day. If you look at some of the phones, like we are doing so well in that. And even if you look at categories like diapers, we are going to sell more diapers, or we have already sold more diapers so far, that we can basically serve the entire child population born today with the number of diapers that we have sold in the few hours of the sale. So all those categories are doing well. So mobile fashion continues to be well, but other categories are also doing quite well on the platform.
All right, Sameer, good to know that Amazon is taking care of all the baby needs in the country. But give us a sense of where you're seeing more activity in terms of the website and the app. Where is it more? Is it the website or is it the app?
So as we have talked about, that mobile is definitely becoming a large part of our portfolio. So it's almost 70% traffic coming from mobile. So if you look at today, like since we announced our sale, for the past few days, we are the #1 shopping app on the Android platform. In fact, today we are #1 shopping app on both Android and iOS. So when you look at how the customers are adopting, we are seeing that traction. We have app-only deals as well, a lot of blockbuster deals that are available. So we are seeing great traction on mobile, but at the same time, we are available on all platforms. Even the desktop customers are coming and shopping with us, as well as mobile, both on the website on the mobile as well as our app.
Mr. Kumar, it's interesting you're talking about app and mobile at a time when Flipkart is going back to, promoting the website for its own sale. But in terms of the Great Indian Sale, what will these 3 days mean overall for you, as contribution to revenue? Is it as significant as Diwali for you?
So we don't look at it that way. We are not that short-term focused. We believe that we are delivering great value to the consumer. As I already said, we are setting new records in terms of units. And we don't, even at Amazon, generally we don't look at quarterly number or sales number. We focus on customers. Are we able to gain a lot more customers who enjoy shopping on Amazon? And we believe we are seeing that. So our customer value is great, and we are seeing great customer adoption. And that's what is making us the #1 site in the country now.
Sameer Kumar, Vice President Category Management at Amazon India, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us here on ET Now Startup Central. Now, away from that and on to the big funding story for the day, where real estate housing portal housing.com has raised additional funding from SoftBank. Chandra, interesting news coming in from housing.com. It's been in the news for all the wrong reasons, of late, but this is certainly good news for the portal, isn't it?
Yes, Krishna, SoftBank has infused an additional 100 crore in housing. Now, so far, SoftBank has really invested $70 million in the company. It's the largest shareholder. So, 100 crore on the face of it might seem like a small amount. Some people are calling it a lifeline for housing to really carry on and focus on its new strategy and operations, because they are trying to get into the buying and selling of homes away from rentals. So, this will help them to that extent. But remember, the real estate classified space online is going through a phase of consolidation. We recently saw Common Floor getting acquired by Quicker, and housing itself has been in the news because of rumored interest from players such as News Corp as well as Snapdeal. So SoftBank coming in now and infusing that sum, does it mean that discussions are still on, or they haven't worked out because of valuation reasons? Those are the questions being asked. But clearly, since SoftBank has invested so much, it has decided to invest an additional amount to really keep housing going for some time, get its strategy together. They've also, remember, revamped the senior management. So perhaps the next few months they will hope that some stability is really restored in housing, so it can compete more effectively with the other players in this space.
Compete more effectively with other players in the space. There seems to be a consolidation of sorts happening in the online real estate business then. Moving away from that, now to another story that we've headlined for the day. Dropping out from college may be a badge of honor in the Silicon Valley in California, but not so much over here. When it comes to Indian startups, the story is completely different. Pedigree clearly matters before investors commit top dollar. Here's a report with data for proof. Take a look. They are founders of some of the unicorns attracting investments from marquee investors. And they all have one thing in common: their alma mater, the Indian Institute of Technology. A sheer coincidence? Data shows otherwise. because when it comes to investing in Indian startups, investors have a clear penchant for pedigree. Data from Traction shows that in the period from Jan to November 2015, over $4.5 billion out of the total $7 billion went to alumni of top schools such as IIT, BITS, IIM and NIT. While one factor could be the higher number of startups coming out of those institutes because of a better ecosystem and network effects, it also points to a more conservative investment approach in India compared to other mature markets.
You saw the data there which really showed why venture capitalists seem to have a penchant when it comes to premier institutes. But to really take the story forward, we are joined by a special guest, an IIT alumnus herself who managed to land VC funding, Traction's co-founder Neha Singh. Now Traction doesn't just aggregate data, but they also work with investors to really generate leads as far as startup deals are concerned. Neha, thank you so much for talking to ET Now. You know, from the perspective of an IIT alumnus and a Traction co-founder, why is it that you know, we are seeing this trend? Why do they keep going for founders from premier institutes when it comes to funding, especially in India?
So one of the things about India is that the startup ecosystem, if you compare it to some of the other places, you know, like Valley is still infant. What it translates is that there are a lot of first-time founders, and so if like VCs want to, you know, be a little bit risk-averse, this is one of their criterias, you know, that some of them choose of going for like founders who are from, you know, like a set of colleges.
But you know, is this really a foolproof strategy? Because if you look at housing.com, it was founded by a bunch of guys from IIT Bombay, yet that was the most controversial startup last year. So, I mean, it's not really a foolproof strategy, is it?
So I think the verdict is not unclear as to, you know, whether there is a clear-cut, it increases the probability of success for students who are, you know, from premier institute or not. But I guess the other thing which is happening is that there are a lot more startups coming from these colleges, and that's just a function of exposure. So for instance, there are a lot more people, if you take a simple example of like IIT Bombay or IIT Delhi, there are a lot more people or seniors that people have who have worked in a startup or who have done a startup. So hence, if you look at the recent incoming batch, they are more prone to, you know, do a venture of their own. So earlier, when the percentage, you know, in a typical college would be like, you know, 5 to 10%. If you talk about IITs now, like nearly 1/3 of the people want to do a startup. So that's increase in exposure, and hence, you know, the funnel also is increasing.
All right, Neha, granted that the IITs and the BITS Pilanis have the better ecosystem and network effects to nurture startups in that sense. But, you know, is that changing? Considering that startups have now become mainstream, you know, tell us, what is the sense that you're getting from investors?
So I think the government focus is encouraging, but I guess, you know, it will still take some time to translate. What is happening most is the increase in exposure. If you just know a lot more of your peers who have worked in a startup or are doing a startup, it just increases your chance of, you know, doing a startup yourself or taking the plunge. Like earlier, you have to convince your parents, you know, to make them understand what you're doing. Right now, that's not the case, because basically, even if you are, you know, startup, you actually are covered by, you know, like mainstream media nearly every other day. So even from the acceptance perspective, I guess that has gone many notches higher, and you know, probably that's the reason why you see a lot more people now jumping into this.
All right, Neha, before we let you go, I have to ask you this. Silicon Valley, you know, on the other hand, has seen maximum success stories by betting on dropouts, you know, from the biggest of the stories to the smallest of the stories. Tell us, according to you, will it ever come to India, you know, even if the ecosystem matures from here on going forward?
Sure, I think that is inevitable. That has not started happening a lot now, but, you know, as it has happened, you know, in the Valley, you might see a lot more people dropping out to do their startup earlier before, you know, completing their 4-year or 5-year, if they hit upon a very interesting idea while they are in college.
Neha, seeing of traction, and thank you so much for taking time out to be with us here on ET Now Startup Central. And away from that, two very important stories that all startups in the country and abroad are keeping their eyes on. The zero basics war that's being fought between TRI and Facebook. Chandra.
That's right. 2 days after an all-out war really broke out between the TRAI and Facebook over its zero-rating platform Free Basics, the telecom regulator held an open house today to really take this discussion forward. And as you said, net neutrality is a cause that a lot of startups identify with. To really find out if there is a middle path yet, we're joined by Gauri Dwivedi, who's been tracking this issue very closely. Gauri, any chance of a compromise? What is really happening, and what are the next few steps as far as this issue is concerned?
The recommendations on this very contentious issue are expected by the end of the month. Whether or not they will actually be able to clearly demarcate as to whether or not differential pricing of products should happen in India or not is still something that is being debated, given the fact that there are actually two ends of the debate. You have players like telecom companies and social internet giants like Facebook vociferously defending zero-rated products and platforms, saying A, it helps for countries like India with poor internet access, and B, it is actually allowed everywhere else in the world as well, so why should India be any different to that norm and business practice? Social media activists and of course internet companies like Paytm are on the absolute other end of this discussion and debate, saying that differential pricing actually throttles internet innovation, creativity, and would be a death knell for smaller companies and smaller players who would not be able to compete and pay up to these big companies. Now, remains to be seen whether TRAI recommendations will end this discussion and debate or not. But one thing is for sure, a clarity could emerge on this very, very hotly debated issue by the end of the month, and then of course telecom department and the government will have to take a final view on those TRAI recommendations, which could probably happen in the next 1 to 2 months.
Thank you, Gauri, for bringing us that update on the TRI FB face-off. Away from that and on to the special segment that we've promised you, something that we are calling the 3 mistakes of my life. And we kick off this special segment with TaxiForSure's co-founder Raghu Nandan, who talks about his mistakes that others can learn from. Take a look.
There are quite a few mistakes that we did during our entrepreneur journey. I think some of the things that would probably look out is we were always so looking inward within the company. We never really figured out what was really happening elsewhere. I think that set us back significantly, because the world was moving totally at a different pace, and we were running at a different pace, and we were happy because we were comparing ourselves with other startups who were there and stuff like that. We were happy and content because we are growing faster than them, but at least as far as our space was concerned, I think it was moving much faster elsewhere, right? And that is something that we missed out. That's one. And the second thing is in terms of building the team itself, right? And we always thought that the traditional way of building a startup is to do it bottom up, right? Even though there were people who were interested at a senior level and stuff like that, who even though they used to approach us, right? We thought that the right way to build a startup is bottom up, and the founders have to take up a lot more responsibility and stuff like that, right? And I think that was the mindset. But over a period of time, what we realized was, if you get senior guys on board sooner, right, they are along with you to share the load, right? You don't have to carry that load, right? And the moment when I started getting the senior guys into the team, right, I thought that the responsibility shared, and I should have done it a long time back. I think that would have been completely different, right? And the third important thing was more on the self side, right? And so here I thought that I was good at this, so XYZ, probably I will look at these things, right, to begin with. But as this journey of the startup really continued, because there was no one else to do some part of the work, you take those up and do it because there is no one else to do it, right? And the moment you start working on this, because there are a few things that you are not exposed to in your life, and you start working on those, and you feel that you are good at it, and you also start liking it, right? And you essentially start discovering a lot more about yourself than what it is. And when I look back, I think that what was I doing in the rest of my life? Why didn't I even try experimenting with things, right? And that, I think that's where the thing really lies in, right? One has to start experimenting, right? Mistakes happen, failures happen, and stuff like that. But if there are one or two things that you get to know about yourself, right, and that essentially is brings you a lot more contentment and a lot more satisfaction, and that's the self-discovery of being an entrepreneur.
I think a context to a lot of what Raghunandan said was TaxiForSure's sale to Ola. So a lot of what he said about self-focus and experimentation had to do with that. We certainly hope it provided you with lessons in management and entrepreneurship. But on to the final segment of the day. The number we are crunching today is rupees 80,000 crores. Now, why is that significant? Because that's the transaction volume that ICICI Bank expects through mobile banking by the end of FY16, which is over a 5-fold jump compared to FY15. It clearly shows the impact that smartphone penetration is going to have and why a lot of venture capitalists are hot on the fintech space. We certainly hope you enjoyed this edition of ET Now Startup Central. But Krishna, I have one question for you. Do you use your phone or your desktop when it comes to, encashing and using the crores of rupees that you have in the bank?
Phone, and more phone, Chandra. There's absolutely no doubt about that, and that number puts that into perspective. It's not just me, just everybody around me using the mobile phone for all kinds of payments, right from groceries to movie tickets. On that note, we wrap things up here on ET Now Startup Central. This is Krishna Kumar signing off. But coming up next is Market Watch, so keep it with ET Now.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNowLive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/ETNow.